right, I'm going to dive in and share my screen, and we will get right into the session. Today, I'm going to talk about Russell Brunson's perfect webinar formula and the idea of running a webinar and why it's important is because it runs essentially 24/7 as a sales person in your business. But in order for that to happen, you have to put in the effort to build the webinar first. So this is part of the Visibility Transformation Challenge. I just want to do a quick recap of the things that we've done since January when we started. So we did goal alignment. We did your business one-liner. We built your ideal customer persona. We built a structure around your brand influence kit so that then you could take all of the stuff, all of the products that we're putting together for your brand, and then build out this incredible asset, valuable asset for your business. The 67-point SEO checklist and on-page SEO we did a couple sessions ago. And then last session, we talked about how to create and leverage evergreen content in your business. This is another form of evergreen content. So it is evergreen sales content, especially, which is the best kind. So what is the perfect webinar? It is a proven structured formula that was created by Russell Brunson, who's the master really of online funnels and sales. He's the OG. And the idea is that he put forth this webinar formula and tested it over decades and finally has come out with this version that just has proven results. And I am very much a why reinvent the wheel kind of person. When we know a certain format works, like a page structure in web design, we know that a certain page structure works and increases conversions. So we use it over and over and over again. Same thing with the webinar structure. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And he's very well known. Russell Brunson's very well known for this quote. And he said it again when I was in Vegas months ago for the last Funnel Hacking Live. If you did a webinar every single week for a year, you would never have to worry about money again. And it applies to any industry. And I think as we kind of go through the explanation of this, you'll begin to see why that makes sense. So webinars work because they combine extremely valuable education because you are the expert in what you do and you are bringing that to the table in the form of a webinar. You are on camera and it brings the personal connection to the table, which then allows you to position your expertise, build trust, and provide an offer, which is key. Most people forget the offers. And then the idea that the webinar is evergreen and it's consistent. It's that sales operator in the background of your business in an ongoing way. So when we talk about webinars in Russell Brunson's perfect webinar formula, we have the hook, the story, and the offer. And then we're going to go into detail on what each of these components include. And then we talk about secrets in the perfect webinar formula. So the 3 secrets of the perfect webinar, number 1 is the hook. So the idea of the hook is to intentionally and instantly grab your audience's attention and make them want to stay. In other words, you don't want to fart around at the beginning of the webinar. It's like you really want to open with a strong hook because people are investing their time. So the hook needs to be something bold in the form of either a story, some kind of fact that's going to get people's attention, or even a question that addresses a problem or some kind of desired outcome that the people in your audience want to have. Now, in case I didn't make it clear at the beginning, when you do your webinar or deliver your webinar for the first time, you are going to record it, very much like we're doing right now on this Zoom call. I've got some people on here live, but we're also recording it, and we're going to put this out on YouTube so that people can access it in an ongoing way. And with webinars, then you also put your webinars in software, and I will share those software tools with you so that they can go register and sign up 24/7. And you may have even encountered these. It's like an ad grabs your attention, you click through, and then there's a page that says, join the next webinar. And then, by some magic in the universe, the next webinar literally starts in 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and you can jump on. So that is not live, just in case it wasn't perfectly clear. It's live-ish because it was recorded live, but that is a webinar tool that is replaying a live webinar essentially on demand. It starts in 2 minutes and 30 seconds because you need to have time to put in your email address and phone number and your name so that they capture the lead, but then you go into the webinar from there. You're giving people access to you and your webinar and your solution and your offer at their moment of need. They don't have to wait. So for example, this visibility transformation challenge is on the first Wednesday of the month at noon. So people have to wait. And if they can't make it at this time because it's inconvenient in their schedules, then they're either missing it, watching it recorded. Webinars really fix that problem because it's really instantaneous. They can watch it right when they're ready. So that is key. The next thing on the secret is the story. So people love stories, and stories build trust. So again, we're just talking about the outline here. So we've got the hook, and then we've got the story. The idea of the story is to build trust and position you as the expert with the solution to their problem. And the idea is to share a personal journey, because building and sharing a personal journey really enhances that trust factor and that connection factor with you. You can bring in client stories, client testimonials. Those are all good. But in my opinion, personal stories work better than anything else. And then secret number 3 is the offer. This is where most people really dork things up. And I'm not just talking about in webinars. I'm talking about dorking it up in terms of their business. Like, I can't tell you how many clients we work with at MSW Interactive Designs who actually don't have an offer. They sell stuff, but they have never actually crafted an offer. If you're doing stuff for your business, social media marketing, email newsletters, text message marketing, all this stuff, if you ultimately don't have something to sell people, all of that stuff is a waste of time. You have to craft what's called an irresistible offer. And most recently, our team did that with our performance marketing program. It's a lot of stuff and bonuses and things included because it makes it almost too, you just can't pass it up. It's too good of an offer. You feel like an idiot if you don't take advantage of it. So that is what an offer or an irresistible offer is. So you want to make sure that you have at least one irresistible offer, and then that is what you ultimately close your webinar with. So you're providing the hook and the story, and you're going to teach a framework during your webinar that does bring value, but then you're ultimately going to make an offer, because the point of having the webinar is to sell your stuff. So we don't want to leave that part out. So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail of what the hook, story, and offer include. And then I'm going to wrap up by giving you an example. So I am actually in the process of building a new webinar that's going to sell our visibility transformation resources and course. So I'm going to use that as an example and kind of show you how I'm building it out so that it'll give you an example of how you might apply it in your business. But let's get into the details of what's the hook. First of all, statement or question that you start the webinar out with to get people's attention and essentially assure them that they're in the right place and that this is a valuable use of their time. There's generally 4 types of hooks that people use. So there's the shocking statistic. Did you know that 80% of businesses fail within the first year? You don't want to be one of those. And I'm going to show you how not to be part of that statistic. That's a shocking statistic hook. Question hook is another one. So you ask a question that aligns with the audience's problems. A lot of business owners want to double their sales in the next 30 days, even quadruple them. And I'm going to show you how to do that during this webinar. So if that's interesting to you, you're in the right place. So that's a question hook. And then there's a story hook, which I've already described. And I'm going to give you another example of that. And then there's an outcome hook. So you tease the transformation that they're going to get from staying on the webinar. So stick with me for the next 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and I'll show you how to achieve this result, guaranteed. And so here's an example hook. Discover the exact step-by-step system I use to grow my business from struggling solopreneur to in a saturated industry to a 7-figure agency with clients nationwide, a 9-person team, a sought-after speaker, and 0 reliance on paid ads. So that's a story hook that weaves in the background of the agency, and of course, without the guesswork, because I'm going to show them exactly how to do it. So that's an example of a hook. And then what is the story itself? So the story helps your audience connect to you, relate to you, and believe that you see yourself in their shoes. You've been there, you've experienced it. You are the guide leading them through this solution. And the idea of the story is that you want to craft it in such a way that it really connects on an emotional level. So components of a powerful story: the struggle, you always want to describe the struggle, the journey, how you overcame the challenge, the transformation, what happened, what was the outcome, and then weaving in the emotional part of it is key, because the emotional part, it just builds connection, builds trust. So people like to hear about our successes, but they even like to hear even more about our failures, because it humanizes us, and we all have them, right? So just show up as a human and say, you know what, this is where I was, this is what I did, and I'm going to show you how I did it, how I got to these results, so that you can get farther faster than I did. So that's the idea of the story. So here's an example. 20 years ago, I was struggling with a small online business, barely made enough to cover the bills. I developed the visibility transformation system out of absolute necessity. Today, I have a team of 9, 2.5 decades old 7-figure agency. I have 0 reliance on paid ads, and I'm known as a trusted expert and speaker. What I'm sharing with you today will get you farther faster. It's the one framework I'd wish I had back then. So I created it for you. That's the idea of the story. So we got the hook, we've got the story. So now you've positioned it. And then from the story, you're going to go into the teaching piece, what I'm going to talk about in a minute. So the teaching piece is going to be offering up a framework, a solution, the solution that you're promising at a high level. It's detailed enough that they can take action based on what they've learned, but it doesn't teach the actual tactics, because the tactics they're going to pay you for. So you're delivering the framework, the concept, the idea, the strategy, you're delivering that for free, but you're selling the implementation. So hopefully that makes sense. That's where the money comes in, is the implementation, where you're actually going to go in and do the work for them, give them the tools, give them the support, give them all that stuff. So let's stop for a second and talk about the offer, because like I said at the beginning, this is where most business owners really drop the ball. You need to have an offer that is really something that the audience can't refuse. And you want to put a lot of thought into your offer before you build your webinar, because everything that you talk about in the webinar leads up to the offer. So if I were giving advice on building the webinar, craft your offer first and then go back and do the hook and the story and the other stuff. Components of the perfect offer. So the main thing you sell, your main product or service, and then bonuses. And I'm going to show you a real example of bonuses that I'm working on with a client right now in just a second. You want to offer valuable bonuses that complement the offer. And Alex Hormozi, who is a guru expert in our space, in the marketing space, business growth space, he always says that any bonus that he puts into his offer is worth as much of, if not more than, the actual main product or service. That's his test for the real value of a bonus. And so you might be thinking, how do I even find these bonuses? Like, I can barely deliver on my main product or service as it is. But the thing is that you more than likely have a whole host of resources at your fingertips that, when assembled, can become bonuses that you can give to people, already created, mostly created, or maybe just need to be tweaked a little bit that turn your basic product or service offering. And when you add on that bonus, it becomes an absolutely irresistible offer. You also want to create scarcity and urgency. Now, I love and hate this thing because like I see people use urgency all the time, but when it's not true urgency, you can see right through it. And when you get the impression that you're being scammed or manipulated into taking action because of some false sense of urgency, you immediately lose trust in that product service presenter. So use scarcity, but use it in a way that is authentic and true. And if you don't have authentic or true scarcity, then I would say leave it out because people can see right through it. And then risk reversal, which is a guarantee. Offer money back guarantee to remove all the risk. A lot of small business owners are afraid to do this. I'm not going to lie, I get nervous about doing this and probably don't do it as often as I should. It's hard because we work hard to bring the sales in, and a lot of times we deliver on what we're saying we're delivering on, but the client doesn't always deliver on what they're supposed to be delivering on, and therefore the thing doesn't work. And so we don't want to be responsible for giving money back for something that failed through no fault of our own. So I get it, but the conversions that you will get with a risk reversal or guarantee far exceed the amount of people that are actually ever going to request their money back. So my advice is to do it, test it, and trust the fact that you actually do deliver on your expertise. You deliver, so there's really no reason you'll be giving a lot of refunds, okay? And the couple that you might have to give, factor it into advertising costs, marketing costs for your business. And then what we want to do is the bonus stacking. So the valuable bonuses that I talked about, more than one bonus. And I'm going to show you Jeff Kozatek's bonuses here in just a second. And then positioning the offer. So you want to price anchor. So you want to show the value of your offer before you actually reveal the price. And then you want to be proactive during the offer, during the pitch, in addressing potential doubts, objections, and questions. So I'm just going to jump over to Jeff's website. So Jeff is working on a webinar right now. And so his main product is the Inner Circle. The Inner Circle is $97 a month, and it is 2 times a month live coaching plus this library of stuff. And so this page is a little busy for my taste right now, but we're shifting things around and kind of crafting it. But my point in showing you this is how we have stacked things to turn it into an irresistible offer. So this was just the offer: live coaching, mindset tools, 24/7 access, and a community. $97 a month, no long-term contracts. It's fine. It's a basic offer. But what we did is we created these bonuses to go with it, which he's going to pitch during the webinar that he's building right now. So he's going to do bonus number 1. You get the Blueprint for Value, which is his book. You get a PDF version, and he's going to mail you a copy of his book and an autographed copy, no less. So when I was talking to Jeff about adding this into his offer, because I've got to pay for the book, I'm going to pay for the book and send them a copy of the book and sign it. That sounds really expensive. But the thing about it is that this bonus is very appealing. They sign up, they get a free book, they get an autographed copy of the book. And so the small investment in the book, the autograph, and the shipping is a marketing investment in an ongoing recurring revenue product that he's trying to sell. So it's actually a really good bonus to add into the offer. The next one is mindset audit worksheet. And so we put the values on here. Next one is full keynote access. So people go to seminars and pay thousands of dollars to get in the door to see Jeff and other speakers on stage. And as a member of the Inner Circle, you get the keynotes without having to travel and attend the seminar, and they're super valuable. The next one, bonus number 4, is Lead Like a Champion mini workbook. Bonus number 5 is a sneak peek of his upcoming book and probably a digital copy when it comes out. Signed copy of book number 2 when it comes out as well. Confidence and Mindset Micro Moments audio pack. So you get an audio pack as well. These are all delivered instantly when someone signs up. And then a VIP bonus, you get some live one-on-one time with Jeff by phone when you sign up outside of the inner circle. So one-on-one time. So stacking these bonuses suddenly takes this basic offer and turns it into something even more intriguing. And you can see then, even though we have these all listed on the website, which is fine, you want to have them listed on your landing page. But when you pitch that with your voice and your personality and with the connection with the audience on a webinar, it's like, sign me up. And oh, by the way, there's no long-term commitments. And oh, by the way, you get your money back if you're not satisfied. So you've eliminated all the risk. You've provided exceptional value. So that's why crafting an offer like that is so key in selling your stuff. I will drive home the point. Spend some time on your offer. And if you are putting together an offer and you want to have a set of eyes on it, feel free to reach out to me. And my contact information will be below the video. And I'll be happy to look at it and give you some advice on that. So once you've got your webinar crafted, built, recorded, it's ready to go, then there's some pieces that you're going to need. And I'm just going to run through these because this is really not the purpose of this particular training, but I want you to know that these items will also have to be in place. So there is some one-time work involved here, but then once it's all in place, this runs in an evergreen way. So do it once and then benefit from it over and over and over again. So you are going to need traffic to your landing page so that people can sign up for the webinar. So that's either going to have to come through you out there talking about it, running ads, sharing it on social, engaging your network to tell people about it. You have to drive traffic to the page to get people to sign up for the webinar. So traffic generation, webinar registration, webinars can be paid or free. Just a little side note, because I'm very much into ongoing education. I was just in a training on paid webinars last week. And the woman who was masterfully delivering the webinar just reminded us that webinars don't have to be free. They can be paid. You generally get higher show-up rates when people pay even just a small amount, just because they have some skin in the game. That said, you're going to get more people, probably more leads through a free webinar, and especially when you have it in an evergreen format, because people don't have to pull out credit cards and whatnot. So my webinar that I'm building right now, that I'm going to kind of show you my script for at the end, is going to be a free webinar that leads to a paid product, but it's your choice. You need pre-webinar engagement. So if you aren't doing on-demand webinars, you need to have reminders. So emails, text messages, that sort of thing, to remind people to show up. You can also send people resources and bonuses and things like that right out of the gate, not bonuses that are part of your offer, but like other stuff that you have. So you're engaging with them right out of the gate and building up that trust level. Of course, you have to have the webinar itself, and then you need to have a follow-up sequence, because you won't convert everybody on the webinar. You will convert a percentage of them. So you need to have a follow-up sequence with people who did not convert to close the deal, seal the deal, and get them to join your whatever program it is that you are selling. Some webinar funnel tools. So we do have a Grow 360 .ai CRM, customer relationship management. So the CRM, the webinars themselves, to have the Evergreen webinar delivered, you will need software that essentially pushes that webinar out and enables the sign up in real time. Webinar Ninja, which is the one I use. Webinar Jam is another one. These are for evergreen webinars, meaning they're essentially on demand and people can sign up for them at any time. And then, of course, you need the email automation so that after someone attends, after someone signs up, then you have automatic emails and text messages that go out to them. And then metrics to track conversions. So I don't want to give you the impression that this is like a one and done thing. You're going to record the webinar and then you're going to put it out there. And then you're going to start seeing in the data where people are dropping off. If they're dropping off in the first 5 minutes of a 45-minute webinar, then you probably need a better hook. If they're dropping off 15 minutes into a 45, 60-minute webinar, you probably need a better story that reinforces the need and telling them they're in the right place or making them realize they're in the right place. If people are dropping off during the instruction part, probably you're going to need to retool the instruction part to provide more value. So people feel like, yeah, I can leverage this information right now today in my business to make this improvement. This is great stuff. And then if people are falling off toward the end before getting to the end of your offer, then you're going to want to retool the offer. So the point is that the data is going to drive the improvements in your webinar. You will not get it right the first time. You are probably going to go through multiple iterations of this webinar based on data, not guessing, based on data and what you see people doing to ultimately get to the point where you have a very high converting webinar. All right. So I'm going to now, we walked through all the components of the framework of the perfect webinar. So I shared with you that I'm in the process of building a webinar for one of our products. And the webinar is not built or recorded yet. This is just the framework, essentially, that I just showed you with me plugging in the pieces with my stuff. So this is an example webinar outline for selling a visibility transformation course. So if you're on this live, you are in the free visibility, 52-week visibility challenge that I pitched at the end of the year, 2024, 2 times a month, to transform the visibility of your company. So if you are engaged and active and doing all the things, you've built a lot of stuff. Well, I've built a lot of stuff too, because I built it for the challenge. And so now I have all of that stuff in a place that people can go watch the teaching, download all the assets, all that stuff. And my intent is to now charge for it. So congratulations, you got in free. And now I'm going to charge $500 for it for people who did not sign up for the 2025 one. So I'm going to use a webinar to sell it. So this is what we're doing. So the hook. Imagine if you could build a personal brand so strong that people seek you out instead of you constantly chasing clients. In other words, you want to get off of the ad spend hamster wheel. So in the next 60 minutes, I'm going to show you how to do exactly that, even if you're starting from scratch. So that is the script, the short script that I put together for a hook. Now I'll probably refine that, but I'm showing this for example, that is what the hook looks like. And so here's the story. Several years ago, I was struggling to get noticed in a crowded market. So I'm just going to be on camera saying this, talking about this. Web design and marketing companies are really a dime a dozen. And even though we have an incredible and unique approach, it's really hard to stand out. I felt invisible. I was just another voice in a sea of competition that was really only growing larger. But then I figured out how to build a personal brand that actually resonated with people and the right people, like the people with money to invest in their marketing. And that's when everything changed. So I went from being overlooked to attracting opportunities with very little effort without even trying. So I went from a small audience and stuck at a 200K per year in annual revenue. So we're going back about 20 years now to a loyal community and a 7-figure agency. So I'm going to show you how you can do the same. And the framework that I'm going to share with you today is what allowed me to stand out and get noticed. And it works no matter your industry and no matter where you're starting from. So that's the story. Now, here's the script for the content part. So here's the big idea. The key to building a personal brand is not about being everywhere or posting a lot, right? And this is what we see people do. It's really about strategic visibility and connecting with the right people, the people who will benefit from and have the budget to invest in your solution. So if you want to stand out, you need to position yourself as the go-to expert in your field. And in this, during this rest of this webinar, I'm actually going to walk you through step by step how to build a brand that speaks to your ideal audience, attracts opportunities, and establishes your authority. And the whole idea, like I said, is to get off the need for expensive ads. Because once you're on that hamster wheel of ads, you never get off unless you have these foundational pieces built. So we're going to get you off the hamster wheel. So there's 3 secrets. The first secret, so now we're in the content part. So now I'm talking about my framework. So here's the content part. Secret number 1, clarity is the foundation. And if you remember back, just going off script here for a second, if you remember back when we started the Visibility Transformation Challenge, we talked about clarity in your message and your ideal client. So this is the secret. Clarity is the foundation. Most people fail at building a personal brand because they don't have clarity on who they are, nor who they serve. They want to serve everyone and they want to bring just about anything they can do. They just want to say yes and charge for it. When you try to be everything to everyone, you end up being nothing to no one. So to build a brand that stands out, you need to be crystal clear on your message, and your brand starts with defining your purpose and your niche. So clarity is the foundation. And so then I'm going to give an example. So I'll share how I found my own niche and the 5-step process I use to define my personal brand in a way that resonates with my audience. So what I'm doing is I'm in my content delivery, I'm going to share 3 secrets. So they're going to be able to walk away with knowing, number 1, they have to get clear. And I'm going to tell them how I'm going to show them how to get clear. The second secret is they need to create content that speaks to their ideal client. So again, this is just a script, 3 secrets. I'm on number 2. Content is king, but only when it's created with purpose. So too many people are just out there posting for the sake of posting. We see it all the time, right? But to truly build your personal brand, you have to create the content that actually aligns with the values of your ideal customers, speaks to their pain points, and builds trust. When you do that, then you become the go-to expert that they turn to. So I'm going to show you how my content creation framework allowed me to consistently produce content that attracts ideal clients and builds my authority in the process. So I position secret 1, why, what it is, why it's important, and what I'm going to show them. Then secret number 2, what it is, why it's important, and then what I'm going to show them, or the tool that I'm going to show them in order to do it. And then secret number 3, leveraging social proof and building relationships. So a personal brand isn't just about you. It's about the relationships that you build in the community that you create. So when we're talking about social proof, you've got to remember that social proof is an incredible way to establish credibility. Our brains automatically go to testimonials, but it's also user-generated content. As an example, perfect example, Steve Denny, who just jumped on, I had a YouTube video out there, which was a recording of one of the things around building the brand influence kit. And Steve, who's in the space of helping people buy and sell businesses, commented on my video that, yes, what I was sharing was absolutely correct and important, especially for service businesses. So building that network of people who know and trust you, and then they actually create content on your content, which validates it, is huge. So you have to build a tribe, a network of people who do that sort of thing for you. And it's not that you're asking, it's just like you have built and nurtured those relationships to the point where they just do, and you do it for them too. So then my example, I'm going to share a secret strategy I use to partner with others and to build a network of ambassadors who help amplify my message. So in the content part of my webinar, I'm going to share 3 secrets, and I told them why it's important, what it means, and then I'm going to give them a tool in each area that they can take away from the free webinar. And then I'm going to move into my offer. So I've given them plenty of value. They walk away not feeling gypped for investing their time. They could leave now and do just fine if they just went out and did what I said. But what we're doing now is we're selling implementation. So here's my script for the offer. You might be wondering, how do I put this all together? It seems overwhelming. How do I make it work for me? And that is where my visibility transformation program comes in. So the program that I'm presenting here takes you through everything I just shared and a whole lot more. And here's what you're going to get if you opt to join the program. You're going to get a personal brand blueprint where I walk you through step by step how to define your brand. You're going to get a content creation strategy. It's basically the roadmap that I use to consistently create content that resonates with our ideal audience. And then you can use to create content that resonates with your ideal audience. Social proof and a networking accelerator. So how you can leverage the critical testimonials, very important collaborations and partnerships needed. And then, of course, access to a private community, because we all like to engage with like-minded people, supportive people who really help us attain our goals and not poo-poo them, right? This is a community of people who are that and will be that for you. If you think about it, if you were to go out and hire a personal brand consultant, now I'm just reminding you, I'm going to go, this is a script. So I'm practicing my script right now. I'm not going to be reading this script. It's not going to be on the slides to people on the webinar. I'm practicing my script. This is the stuff I'm going to say. Have it all scripted out for me. So now if you were to hire a personal brand consultant, you'd easily be paying thousands of dollars for something like this. But today you can join my personal brand mastery program, which I'm actually changing to. It's just going to be the visibility transformation program for just $497, which is a fraction of the cost to build a brand that attracts the right people and the right opportunities to grow your business. And I'm going to include some bonuses, because these bonuses really will speed up your results, and you get these free. So the first one is a brand messaging workbook that helps you get crystal clear on your message. That's $197 value. The brand influence kit directory structure, which is essentially 10 pages of an entire directory structure that you can just pull into your Google Drive or your Dropbox Drive, and then start populating the pieces, things that you already have, things that you need to build so that you can build your brand asset library. $897 value. I'm going to give you a 30-day content calendar as well, so that you've got content ideas right out of the gate and templates to help you get started. And I'm going to give you a one-on-one strategy call, which is a 45-minute session with me personally, one-on-one, so that we can jumpstart your results when you sign up. So if you add that all up, that's $2,288 of value. And today you can join the program for just one time, $497. So that's the script for the pitch with the bonus stack. And then here's the close. So you want to add in a close, because you have to think about objections. And when you're on an evergreen webinar format, you can't take live Q&A. So you want to address the known objections before they get off the webinar. So here's the close. So if you want to build a personal brand that attracts the opportunities that you want, establishes your authority, and gets you noticed, this is your chance to do it. Like I said, you can join today for $497 plus all the bonuses, and walk away with the brand you've always wanted. Get off the ad hamster wheel. I know you might be thinking, what if I don't have time? So I'm talking about the objections against my script. The great thing about this program is that it's designed for busy people just like you, like me, and you can implement the strategies at your own pace. Everything is broken into bite-sized pieces, so all the steps are manageable and can be done. And on top of it, the way that I've built out the resources, if you have a team, you can even delegate some of it to your team. So I've really taken the time issue off the table. You might be thinking, well, what if I'm not tech savvy? I don't really know all this tech stuff. Don't worry about that, because we cover everything from the basics of content creation to advanced strategies. And I am here to help every step of the way. The tools aren't that hard, but I have step-by-steps. As an example, one of the pieces inside the visibility transformation program is a step-by-step guide on how to build a custom GPT that writes all the content in your voice. And I guide you through it, like literally step by step. Click on this, click on this, click on this. So here I am just going through the potential objections, right? And third one, what if I don't get results? So this is where the guarantee comes in. So you might be thinking, what if I don't get results? $497. It's not a lot, but it's kind of a lot, right? So here's the thing. I'm confident that you will get results, but just in case, I will give a 30-day money back guarantee. If you get in, you download everything and look at it, and you don't feel like the assets and courses and the one-on-one coaching isn't delivering at least a 497 value to you, let me know and I'll refund your money. No questions asked. The no questions asked is key because people don't want to argue over refunds. So now here's where the urgency comes in. So at the beginning, when I was walking you through the framework, I said, only use urgency if the urgency is authentic and true. Otherwise, don't use it because people can see through it a mile away. So here's mine. This offer won't be available forever. So if you want to take advantage of the bonuses, you definitely need to act now because there's limited spots for my one-on-one calls because there's only so much time in a day. And I'm really going to do focused one-on-one calls with you. So once they're gone, they're gone. In fact, I feel like these calls are so important to helping you jumpstart the results that you're looking for. I'm going to add 2 more. So if you sign up today, you're going to get 3 45-minute in-person calls with me, but you have to sign up today. And then while you're doing this, there's a countdown timer on the final slide. And most of those webinar apps that I shared with you have those built in. So you can just drag it over and put it on your final slide with the urgency. And then the final call to action is super simple. You just say, click on the button below to join the Visibility Transformation Program now. Take advantage of the bonus. Take advantage of this one-time offer for 3 calls with me and get started on building the personal brand that will attract the right clients, opportunities, and the success that you deserve. So that was a lot, but I wanted to kind of show you how I've scripted out my own webinar because I feel like it gives some context. Like, what does that look like in your business? You can take those ideas and just reframe it around your offer, your frameworks, and the things that you're trying to help your customers with. Last session on the Visibility Transformation Challenge, we talked about evergreen content and why it matters. So we talked about how-to guides, building FAQ videos, and all the stuff you see here. We did not talk about webinars because you can see the length of the webinar thing is an hour in its own. So that's why I wanted to dedicate a whole session to this. Again, Russell Brunson swears by these and says over and over and over again, if you go listen to any of his podcasts, look at his YouTube videos, so if you do a webinar every week for an entire year, you will never have to worry about money again. And I firmly, firmly believe that he's right. So I am going to stop sharing my screen, and hopefully this was helpful to you and motivates you to give some thought to putting together a perfect webinar. And I am going to, in the resources section in our Facebook group, I will put a copy of this presentation so that you have those slides, because I know the slides will be helpful in leveraging some of the examples I gave. And I will open it up for just a couple minutes for any questions that you might have or comments. So everybody's off camera, so just come on camera if you want to ask a question. I'll wait a couple minutes. Thanks, Steve. Steve said, great to see you without a sling. Hope you are thriving. Steve, I will see you at the mastermind, hopefully on the 14th. I'm going to be doing the presenting on that day too. So hopefully I'll get to see you. We can grab lunch. Any questions before I let you all go? Okay, I am going to sign off. My contact information will be in the description below the YouTube video or wherever you're watching it. My contact information will be there. And I hope you all have an amazing day.